Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3 weapons need a huge buff in the Season 4 update. Now, it's no surprise that some of these legacy weapons are kind of getting overlooked inside of Warzone because if you want to sell the current Call of Duty game, then obviously you want to make the current Call of Duty game's weapons way better than the past game's weapons, so that way people will buy Black Ops 6 and use those Black Ops 6 weapons over the Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3 weapons. But there's a lot of these weapons from Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3 that absolutely deserve a buff, so that way they can at least be a little bit more viable, kind of like what they did for some of these Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3 weapons that got buffed in the Season 3 update. Now, I'm not saying any of these weapons need to be meta or like the top weapons to run for their category. I just think they need to be actually usable and viable in the current meta of Warzone, due to the fact like they are legacy weapons, but they already took the initiative to allow us to use them. We should be able to actually use them and do something with them. Now, what are some Modern Warfare 2 or Modern Warfare 3 weapons you would like to see get buffed in the near future? As always, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you're new here to have awesome content on the channel nearly every single day. And yeah, let's go ahead and get into today's video. Alright, now let's start my wish list of weapons I would like to get buffed in the Season 4 update with the M13B. Now, this is a classic, iconic Warzone OG weapon that a lot of people are very familiar with, and they brought it back with Modern Warfare 2, but ever since Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2 first was launched and whatnot, the M13B kind of fell out of order. This gun has a very fast fire rate and very low recoil, so it obviously has less damage than most other ARs and whatnot, but one of its trademark is the fact that it has no recoil practically. But with this current integration of Warzone, the M13B has a bit of kick to it. It's a little hard to control, especially at those longer ranges, but it's still a pretty viable and decent AR. All it needs is just a simple recoil fix and also a damage buff, and I guarantee this will be a usable weapon to run inside of Warzone. All they would have to do is just kind of do what they did with the Kilo and the AMAX and the Growl conversion kit. It's basically copy and paste the recoil pattern and stats of the Modern Warfare 2019's version of the M13, just put it over M13B, and I guarantee a lot of players will be just generally happy to be able to run the M13 once again. Now, the next AR I need to see get buffed is a Chimera. This is the Honey Badger from Modern Warfare 2, basically, and this gun is similar to like the ASVAL. It's a suppressed AR that's built for close to mid-range situations, and honestly, this needs to be brought back in some capacity because the sniper support AR category is pretty weak inside of Warzone right now. Now, currently inside of Warzone, the Chimera has a pretty decent time to kill, where it's actually kind of competitive in its own little way, but it's still less than what a Black Ops 6 weapon can do. All they have to do is just make the time to kill just slightly more competitive and obviously take down some of the visual recoil on the Chimera, and it will be a pretty decent AR sniper support to run inside of Warzone. All they will have to do is just use the ASVAL kind of like as a blueprint to show where the Chimera should be at in terms of time to kill and even recoil control if they want it to be a sniper support type of AR. Now, next, I think the M16 deserves a buff. Now, the main reason why I think this weapon should get a buff is because the fact burst weapons are terrible in Warzone right now. There's literally no meta burst weapon to actually run inside this game, and honestly, I think it needs something to kind of push the burst weapons into viability in a sense, and I think the M16 is that weapon. Now, if they're confused on what to do with the M16, all they have to do is look at the XM4 with the 3-round burst mod conversion kit on it as an example, because it's a perfect example of what they need to do with the M16. It has decent range, decent damage, and it's an auto burst weapon, so you don't have to actually keep tapping the trigger like you have to do with the normal M16 right now. So it'll have a more consistent time to kill across the board, and it's going to be pretty decent. All they have to do is just make it have maybe a higher headshot multiplier to make it actually a viable option inside of Warzone. Last Modern Warfare 2 AR I think needs a buff is the Cast-Off 74U, which is basically the AK-74U but for Modern Warfare 2. And honestly, we've already have pretty similar weapons from Black Ops 6 currently in the form of the KSB and the Jackal PDW, but I feel like an actual AR version that's decent at mid-range would be a very good addition to the loot pool and weapon pool of Warzone right now. Now, I only have two Modern Warfare 3 ARs I would like to see buffed, and that is the MCW and the Ram 7. Now, I'm a little hesitant on having both of these weapons get a buff inside of Warzone because of the fact that we don't need too many zero recoil ARs to kind of dominate the long range meta inside of Warzone, because there'll be too many and they just really won't have their own personal identity to them. But at least, luckily, the MCW does have a difference in the fact that it does have a conversion kit that does make it a sniper support type of AR. So if they buff the normal MCW, then obviously the conversion kit has a high chance of also being buffed alongside it. So we could have a potential good sniper support type of AR that can dominate inside of Warzone right now. Now, moving on from ARs, let's go over to battle rifles. And the only battle rifles I really think needs a buff is the F-Tac Recon in the BAS-B. Now, the F-Tac Recon doesn't really need a buff per se, it just needs an adjustment, because this weapon has the potential to be a very powerful weapon, but it's held back by literally like two different things, and that is the recoil and the fact that it only has a 10, 15, and 5 round mag, which is absolutely horrible for an actual good weapon inside of Warzone. And then for the BAS-B, the only real things that was wrong with this is the fact that it just can't compete in the current meta because it doesn't have the same time to kill as some of these Black Ops 6 weapons that are kind of meta right now. And unlike some of the other battle rifles, it's one of the few ones that you can just purely run in full auto. The other ones have like weird situations where sometimes the semi-auto is better than the full auto version of it. So just to make it easier on players, I feel like the BAS-B is the best choice. Now, moving on from the battle rifles, we have the Modern Warfare 2 SMGs. Now, the only ones I think needs a buff in the Season 4 update is the FEL 46, the Fennec 45, and the FSS Hurricane. Now, the MP7 was already a pretty decent SMG inside of Warzone. Even currently right now, it's pretty smooth and easy to use, little to no recoil, very easy and controllable SMG. All it needs is just a slight damage buff, and I guarantee this will be a top used SMG, even though it's already kind of used a lot currently inside of Warzone. Then the Fennec is one of the fastest firing SMGs inside of Warzone right now, and also it's one of the fastest moving SMGs inside the game right now, ever since the nerf of the Superior. And honestly, I just think this weapon deserves a slight buff in terms of time to kill and whatnot. They don't have to change too many other values, it just needs to be stronger. And if they need a good example, then the Compact and the Ladra are two fast firing SMGs that have one of the fastest time to kills inside the game. All they have to do is add similar time to kill values to the Fennec, and I guarantee it will be a top used Modern Warfare 2 SMG. Lastly, the only reason why I want the FSS Hurricane to get buffed is because I actually like the SMG. It's like a P90 mixed in with an M4. It's pretty decent SMG, little to no recoil, and I think it could be a top contender if it had a slight buff. Now, for the Modern Warfare 3 SMGs, the only one I want buffed is the Rival 9 and the Wasp Swarm. Now, the reason why I want the Swarm buffed is similar to why I want the Fennec buffed. It's a fast firing SMG. It definitely needs to have a very fast time to kill because it's shooting a lot of bullets really quickly. So I expect it to have a fast time to kill, but the Wasp Swarm, ever since its multiple nerfs in Modern Warfare 3, just kind of fell out of grace besides being used as like a movement SMG. And then the Rival 9 is just another legacy weapon that has a similar weapon in the OG Warzone that I definitely think needs a buff, so that way you can, capitalize off the nostalgic value of the original Warzone. Rival 9, the CX9, they're a pretty decent weapon back in the day inside of Warzone. It wasn't the greatest, but it was definitely decent. Now, moving on from SMGs, let's talk about the shotguns. Now, personally, I think almost every shotgun needs a buff. Both semi-auto and the pump action shotguns, they all need a buff because there's just no excuse why certain shotguns are just so dang bad. Like, all I'm asking for is a similar buff to what they did to the Marine SP in the Lockwood 600. All we need is just a slight damage range buff, so that way some of the pump action shotguns can actually have a decent one-shot kill potential, and then the semi-auto ones can at least be a little bit more viable in the close range situations. Because most times if you have a pump semi-auto shotgun, it just don't do anything in close range. If I can't get it buffed to just any of the pump actions, at least the KV broadside, especially with the conversion kit, which changes it from a shotgun to like a battle rifle, it definitely needs a buff because it's pretty decent. It just has no range, no actual recoil control, and even the damage is kind of mediocre for a battle rifle inside of Warzone. Now, the next category is the LMGs, and the only ones I need buffed is the RPK and the Bruin MK9. Now, I want the RPK to get buffed because I would like to see another RPK type of meta in a sense where LMGs are actually pretty decent because there's like really barely any good LMGs to actually run inside of Warzone right now because AR would outgun it in every situation. And I think the RPK is definitely one that can bring back the LMG meta. And speaking of meta, I think the Bruin would also be a good buff because it's a classic weapon from Warzone's past that definitely got overlooked even in the Modern Warfare 3 era, so I think it deserves a chance to be at least potentially viable in the meta of Warzone. Now the next category to talk about is the Marksman Rifles, and the only two that really needs a buff and also a huge rework is the SPR and the SAB. Now I believe these two weapons both deserve that Car 98 treatment of being Marksman Rifles that are capable of one-shotting up to a certain range, because there's no excuse why these bolt action Marksman Rifles are incapable of one-shotting even the target at 25 meters, or even the guy at 10 meters. I feel like they should have a one-shot range. It could be less than the Car 98, but it at least needs to have a one-shot potential to at least make them even usable inside of Warzone. Now moving on from Marksman Rifles, the Sniper Rifles just need a huge rework altogether because there's just absolutely no reason why these weapons aren't even viable whatsoever. Now, there's no reason why a 50 cal sniper can't one-shot up to 100 meters. There's just no reason why whatsoever. They're 50 caliber rounds. They should hit up to over 100. I don't even need them to be infinite one-shot ranges like the HDR. They just need to have a large one-shot range potential for them to even be usable inside of Warzone right now. Now, the last category of weapons that need to be buffed is just pistols, and that just means pistols in their entirety because pistols are pretty useless inside of Warzone right now. There's a ton of secondary options inside of Warzone, but because of the fact that SMGs are a lot better than a typical pistol, nobody wants to run any pistol as a secondary, even for an overkill setup. They'll rather run a nail gun over an actual full auto pistol or a semi-auto pistol that deals a lot of damage. It's just there's no good pistols to actually be competing inside a meta, and I feel like there should be some good sidearms that can do. I don't need them to be on the same level as like an SMG. I just need them to be on a level where they're actually viable in some competitive aspect. The game has way too many pistol options for there to only be two viable ones inside the game right now. We should have some semi-auto pistols that are pretty decent. We should have some full auto pistols that are decent. We should have some options. There's no options whatsoever besides the Renetti or the Rakova. There's no other good pistols that can compete against some of these other meta weapons in the game right now. And yeah, that's pretty much every weapon that I think deserves a buff with the Season 4 update, all the legacy weapons. Obviously there's a few Black Ops 6 weapons I would like to see get buffed. There's even a few Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3 weapons I didn't say that I think deserve a buff, but I don't think they're deserve it as soon as some of these other weapons. And yeah, once again, let me know if there's any Modern Warfare 2 or Modern Warfare 3 weapons you would like to see get buffed in the Season 4 update. And yeah, as always, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe if you're new here. There's awesome content channel nearly every single day. And until next time, peace.